How and when we should decide कि it's time to have a promotion conversation with my manager.
My advice on promotions is you must strike the right balance between seeming too ambitious, too eager, because I keep telling people.
So how do you remain frugal even though if you are in this organization but you still remain employable outside?
A FISO culture. You fit in or you shape out. You love it or you hate it. There's no place in between. And you figure that out in the first 18 months. You're in or out. Once you're in, then you go the long distance. People like me, 20 years, 24 years, that people have done 30 years and so on and so forth. So you must love the culture and the environment.
In an era of AI, what kind of skills one should look at building so that the career is sustainable in long?
The accounting part, etc., the transaction processing part, that's all digitized, right? Bots are doing reconciliation, and then it's something like what we call. So understanding where your hard skill domain is going.
Hi everyone, welcome to a new episode of Growthcast podcast, and today I have with me Kaushik Mitra, who is CFO of PepsiCo, and not only this, he's also writer of the book The Career Edge. आज हम बैठ के इनसे समझेंगे कि what are some of the career mistakes that you should avoid, what are some of the things that you should be doing in order to grow in your career, and अगर आपको finance में career बनाना है, how you should go about building it out. Stay tuned till the end क्योंकि ये episode काफी interesting होने वाला है, and do share this video and subscribe to the channel for more such content. Hi Kaushik, welcome to Growthcast podcast and thank you so much for taking out time. You have had an illustrious career. So I just wanted to understand how your career journey started.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, Shashank, for having me on your podcast, and I really admire the authenticity in whatever you do, and the passion clearly comes across. Well, I started in Calcutta in a utility company with the RPG group, and did that for some time. And then I got bored, and I joined a startup for a while. And then got bored of that, and then moved on to a GE. That was a great job, a GE Medical Systems, almost like a 7-day a week job. Like that, did that for a while, and then moved out of Calcutta came to Delhi into Reckitt Coleman. When I joined, it was Reckitt Coleman, the good old British company. And then slowly it got merged with a company called Benkiza, and the culture changed a lot. I did that for about 3 years. And then I joined PepsiCo. And PepsiCo has been home to me for the last 24 years. I've worked in PepsiCo in various roles in India and outside India. I've worked in the Middle East. I've worked in Southeast Asia, in pretty exotic places like Vietnam. I did a stint in Hong Kong. And right now I am the CFO of the PepsiCo India and South Asia business. It's been a wonderful journey. And let me also add that I'm married for 30 years, and so 24 years with PepsiCo and 30 years with my wife. So those are two lasting relationships, I would say, that I have. We have a 24-year-old son who's a software engineer, pretty much like you. He's in the US.
Great.
So that's me so far professionally. I do a lot of other things, but professionally, yes.
नहीं I understand from your professional journey कि आपने काम कर रखा है with traditional businesses also, then there was a startup stint, then you moved to corporate. But what we keep on seeing and hearing is that work culture is completely different in each of these three setups. So would like to understand from you, based on your learning, what is one thing that differentiates the work culture, और ये difference आता कैसे ऐसे, be it a traditional company, a startup or organized firm?
Look, firstly, let me just talk about Indian companies and multinational companies, right? Okay. Maybe that's the first frame I would put for you. I've seen that Indian companies are much more, I would say, entrepreneurial, and they put a lot of focus on, I would say, management and execution in the marketplace is much closer. Whereas in multinational companies, you typically have layers of the organization. Right. So that's one difference. The culture is also very, very different, right? The one thing that the multinational companies bring to the table is established processes. There is a way to do everything.
Right.
Sometimes it takes a little longer, but there is a structured approach to how you operate. Plus, it's like a portfolio of businesses for a multinational company. So they look at investment in countries based on potential and risk,
Right.
right? Compared to the Indian organizations, they tend to be more owner-driven, entrepreneurial. So there are pros and cons of both. Talking about startups and uh, established organization, I think the big difference is structure and lack of structure, and expect the unexpected in a startup kind of organization. So my startup experience was pretty much working out of a. I got a job where they said, at that time I was young. They said, we are going to give you a car. I said, fantastic. I love the car. And but what I didn't bargain for was the office was going to be at home, and it was going to be 24/7,
Right.
and it was going to be 7 days a week. Sometimes you work in the car. So, but the great thing is you can really make a difference in a startup, right? You almost feel a strongest sense of belonging as if it's your own thing, which typically in larger organizations, that the since there are so many people and so many processes and so many layers, that tends to get a little bit fragmented. So the adrenaline rush, if you're looking for adrenaline rush, nothing like a startup.
Right.
But process-oriented companies, those companies give you a lot of security, right? That's also important.
Right.
And at that point in time, and I'm talking 30 years back, right? At that point in time, financial security was very, very important, particularly to me, because I came from a middle-class family, right?
Right.
And the traditional mantra that we had learned is make sure that you keep your job. So
Right.
today, the choices are much, much more. So people have many, many avenues. Again, in Calcutta, in the good old days, it was either you're a doctor or you're an engineer or chartered accountancy maybe came later. But your parents and society demanded that you have a good job, a steady job, a reputed name, preferably, right?
Right.
So the concept of enterprise and startup wasn't there.
Right.
If I look back, I don't mind, having started in a startup, which my son is doing today.
Right.
And he actually he started in a bigger organization, and then and the IT industry in the US is very, very unstable.
Right.
And so he actually lost his job, and he was out of a job for a while. And I'll talk a little bit about the point on resilience later on in our conversation. It's also there in my book. And then he found a job in a startup, and he's loving it.
Right.
So because he has a sense of belonging, he's part owner of the company. So there's nothing like that.
Right. So I think you rightly talked about resilience that we'll touch upon later, but I'd like to double down on the startup versus organized wali piece pe. So say if you are somebody who is starting their career today, you are an early career professional, just graduating out of college. So what are certain things that a person should look at before evaluating a company to join in? In terms, since I am going to start my career, should I optimize for stability? Should I optimize for, say, in early stages of my career, money? What are some of those things that?
Yeah, no, that's a good question, Shashank. That's a good question. And if I look back, let's say if I reframe the question to say that people who have really succeeded in life, when they were young, what were they doing?
Right.
Okay. If I reframe it like that, I think the first thing that comes to mind is learning. They were looking for learning experiences. They were not looking for money. They were not looking for a fast promotion. They were not looking for a designation. They were looking to get different experiences.
Right.
Because when you are starting, you start with a load of theoretical knowledge which business school teaches you or your professional institute teaches you, right? But what you don't have is really what happens in the corporate world and what it takes to succeed. It's not going to be the theory. It's not whether you were top of the class. Actually, we should do a good. I'm sure somebody would have done that. What happened to all those people who topped their classes, right? Did they really make it to the top of their professional careers? Maybe some did.
Right.
But I would say the real learning is what life teaches you after you graduate and get into corporate world. That's when the real thing happens. So those people focused on learning and picking up different experiences. The other thing that I would say is, which is very important anytime, anywhere, is attitude. How do you get out of bed every day? Do you bring your head, heart, and hand to the job every day? What drives you? What motivates you? Right? And I've seen people go that extra mile even if they don't have to, even if the organization is not wanting it.
Right.
Those people who have that desire and that ambition and walk that extra mile, they go the distance.
Right.
And I think the third aspect is is really about taking initiative, because I've seen some people want things to come to them, and others go and
Figure out.
grab the opportunity.
Right.
That makes a big difference, and that manifests itself in many ways. Let's say there is an opportunity to speak in a meeting. A lot of people would keep quiet. Most of us would keep quiet. Fear of speaking is the greatest, one of the top fears, right?
Right.
But people who have that initiative, they would come forward, grab the opportunity. Even if they flounder a little bit, they would go for it, right?
Right.
So I would say, it's a combination of learning attitude and taking initiative. What in the early years you should be focusing on. Of course, it depends on your situation. It depends on your situation, and of course, everybody looks for financial stability, right?
Right.
And that's also important.
Right.
But if you get that, and if you have to choose amongst other things, then I would rather, go for these things. And I guess the startup environment gives you a lot of that,
Right.
right? So there are pros and cons on both sides, Shashank. But I focus on learning. I focus on failing,
Right.
experiencing.
Right.
I would do that when I'm young, rather than later on.
Right. So Kaushik, so there's one follow-up question to that. Like I think many young professionals or even those who are mid-career professional, for them quantification of this learning is either my salary gets increased or I get a promotion. So is there another objective way of looking at it, the way you are growing in your career, disassociating from say money piece or the promotion piece?
Yeah, I think when I look at how people build careers, right? Uh, and when you look at who to choose for a role, you typically tend to, firstly, there is qualification, right? Assume, let's say, for example, if you have three candidates with same qualifications,
Right.
then you look for what are the kind of experiences that they have had. Have they stayed in a comfort zone? Maybe they are very good at certain one thing, and they have just stayed with that. Nothing wrong with that, but life is not about, and career is a lot about, just staying in one place and being in your comfort zone. Adaptability is an extremely important facet that, leaders need to have.
Right.
And I personally would look for how adaptable a person is, how learning agile a person is. And my frame is always, if I have people who are the same qualification, uh, who has done something, failed, learned from it, moved on, demonstrated that positive mindset, right? Rather than someone who's just excelled in one thing.
Right.
Okay, so that I think that ability of adaptability is supremely important when it comes to the business environment and success in the business environment. The third thing I would say is the area of taking others along with you. This I think is the most important area, and a lot of the material in my book is about how do you work with people. That's the heart of success for any individual over a long term.
Right.
Because you're armed with qualifications. What do you do with those qualifications? Honestly, I did my chartered accountancy, I did my MBA from IIM Calcutta, and then all that learning, what have I used in my professional life? I've used English and maths.
Right.
But the most important thing is people, working with people, learning from people.
Right.
How do you influence? How do you communicate? How do you build trust? Those are, I think, the most important building blocks and pillars for long-term professional success.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, what are we doing in an organization? We are influencing each other. We are taking decisions, right? Decision making. Another very, very important thing, they don't teach you in business school how to take decisions.
Right.
You're armed with a lot of data, but how do you decide, right? And different people have different decision making abilities, right?
Right.
Some people I've seen, they need 100% data. And and they go why. They're uncomfortable in the 80-20 zone. Some people are gut driven. Okay, I've had this experience in the past. I know what to do. I go. I think a good balance is important, right?
Right.
But so working with people, taking decisions, these things you don't learn, right? Real life teaches you all this. So I look for those things, and I already talked about the point on positive attitude. Are you part of the problem? Or are you part of the solution?
Right.
Because in corporate life, you are employed, you're earning your salary to find solutions,
Right.
not to say what is wrong, but to say what to do when something is wrong. And
Right.
I have a personal experience, which I have narrated in the book, a very, very relevant experience in Vietnam, which maybe we can talk a little bit later about.
Right.
How to convert a victim mindset to a mindset where you need to do something.
Right.
I don't know whether I've answered your question, but
Nini, that answers the question, but I like to double down on the people part. So, say if I am an introvert, I am working in an organization, I'm good with my work, I am an IC, but I don't gel well with people. So, how should I go about developing those people skills? Because inherently, some people might be introvert, some people might find it difficult to talk about their work, even though they are good with their work. So, majority of population struggles with that bit. So, how to go
no,
about building?
uh, that's a classic dilemma, Shashank. When I started, actually, I am an introvert.
Right.
If given a choice, and my wife is an extrovert, so we are a good match. I mean, if given a choice, she would rather go out and get into a social event with a lot of friends and things like that.
Right.
I would rather stay home, read my favorite book, or watch a nice movie or a serial, right? But these are personality traits. What you can shape is your behavior. Think of it like an iceberg. Your personality is below the water, but what people are seeing is what is on top of the water, right? That you can change. So
Right.
when I started, I was total introvert. I mean, I would shy away from any. And PepsiCo is a very communication-driven company. So you have to have a voice, you have to have an opinion, you must know how to articulate it, etc. So when I joined this organization, when I actually started working with the multinational companies, I realized how important it is.
Right.
Communication, and I guess it applies to everything. Imagine convincing your kid to do a certain study or a course or watch a certain movie, right?
Right.
Imagine influencing your family and the communication.
Right.
That logical communication does not work. You need that element of emotion and something different, right?
Right.
Whereas you think of when you're communicating to your boss about something to do with a very important topic, emotion doesn't work. You got to be so. I would say everybody is born with a little bit of reluctance to come forward,
Right. Right.
but you have to overcome that.
Right.
And the best way to do that is put yourself into the situation. जैसे क्रिकेट में बोलते हैं ना, कोई भी चीज़ में बोलता है, practice, practice, practice. And अभी भी, and you cannot imagine, now I love talking. I love talking to students, I love big audiences, etc. But it hasn't come overnight.
Right.
It has come with practice.
Right.
Even today, I get butterflies in the stomach when there is a discussion. Even when I was coming in here, because this is not this is new territory for me.
Right.
There are those butterflies in the stomach. So I still prepare. Even I know the subject, I still prepare. I make my notes. Because the most effective communications are the ones that you're not reading from the slide or you're not reading from the note.
Right.
It is impromptu.
Right.
That brings out the best and that makes it genuine and heartfelt, right?
Right.
You can't do that if you are ratifying things and then coming and thing. So it's less of a science, it's more of an art. But I would say practice karna padega. Nahi to nahi hoga.
Right.
Or you have to, and sometimes it's okay. I mean, that's okay. I mean, sometimes it won't go out so well. That's okay.
Right.
That's fine. So if you are an introvert, if you are shy of interaction with people, etc., I would urge you, look at where the world is going today with AI and what's happening in the digital space. बाकी काम तो वहीं पर हो जाएगा. I mean, there's nothing that's going to be left to humans except
Softer skills.
softer skills, except interacting with each other. This thing cannot be done by
AI. Yeah.
cannot be done because it's a conversation, right?
Right.
And it's right brain. Yeah, what the machine cannot do is right brain. Maybe they'll develop. My son keeps telling me, no, we are working on that also, which will tell you how to feel. And based on your feeling, will reply, right? But it's a very, very important thing to succeed in life. It's all about influencing. How do you influence with what I call ethos, logos, and both pathos?
Yeah, I would like to double down on that.
Yeah. So look, I think these are three Greek words. Ethos is about credibility. Why should people listen to you? Why am I here? Why are you interested in me? Why am I coming to your podcast? There is a reason, right?
Right.
You have built a certain credibility. I have built a certain credibility. What's your leadership brand? What do you stand for, right? And a very important aspect of building credibility is being authentic, being genuine, right? And all through my professional life, I have seen one thing work in any culture, whether it's in Southeast Asia and Vietnam or it's in the Middle East. Authenticity always works. If people see you as an authentic, genuine person, right, magic happens. So, finding your leadership ethos, who are you? What do you stand for? What is your legacy? How do people look at you? If you are not in the room and people were talking about you, what would they say?
Right.
Maybe some team that you had worked with 10 years back, if they were to talk about you, what would they say?
Right.
So it's that's the credibility part. Second part is logic. We are all good at that. Particularly Indians, we are like, the argumentative Indian. If you have a view, I have a different point of view. If there's somebody else has a different point of view, and we keep arguing, right?
Right.
And everybody has solid logic. So logic we know, but the most important thing for me is what I call pathos, which is emotional connect. जैसे फैमिली में अगर कुछ डिस्कस करना है या कुछ करना है with maybe your kid or your spouse, imagine a very logical conversation. After 30 years also, I find sometimes logic, most of the times, that doesn't work.
Right.
In professional life, we don't use it much. And what I mean by emotional connect is, it's linked with the concept of building trust, respect. The interactions tend to be very, very transactional. मेरे को कुछ चाहिए, I go to you. आपको कुछ चाहिए, you come to me. And then, how do you go beyond that? And once you get to that higher level of trust, as Stephen Covey says, things happen at the speed of trust. Most of the times, it's not about the issue.
Right.
It's about people.
Right.
How they feel about each other. And things quickly resolve, or they quickly get escalated if they don't have that trust and respect.
Right.
And that pathos, So influencing, I believe, is this art of triangulating between building your own credibility, of course, bringing logic to the table, and dialing up emotional connect. Wherever I go in my profession, I've worked in so many places now, every time I can tell you it's like a new company. Although it's 24 years in PepsiCo, but it's like 10 roles.
Right.
And different places. All the stakeholders are different.
Right.
So मैं तो बैठ जाता हूँ पहले, I have a 30, 60, 90-day plan. I really jot down who am I working with? Who are my customers, right? And then I start building what I call trust accounts with them. And it's literally like an account, depositing trust money into that account. And then I take stock after 90 days, kisme kitna bhara.
Right.
And then you keep working that way, right? Because people form an opinion of you very quickly. पहला 90 days में opinion हो जाता है.
Right.
Is this person part of the solution? Is this person here part of the team?
Right.
Is he an individual just to make his career? So you have to make sure that you invest in relationships at the beginning and build that trust. So that's the whole concept of and my thing is focus on the pathos. Focus on the pathos. The magic works there. So most difficult things can get resolved if you have that emotional connect, if you have high trust.
And does that helps in also building your personal brand within the organization?
100%. I think people will then perceive you as somebody who is helpful, somebody who is not only driving his own agenda.
Right.
Because in a company, you represent, if you're the CEO, then you understand what the challenge is. I mean, the CEO's challenge is breaking the functional silos.
Right.
Okay, maybe sales wants to do something, but supply chain, has an issue, and finance is always saying, it's not margin accretive and things like that. How do you bang their heads and bring everybody together to move things forward? So we are in these functional silos.
Right.
But function kya hai? It's people making it up.
Right.
Within functions, if you have that trust among senior leaders, things happen fast. So in company culture, I think really the elevated culture is where you are able to break these functional silos, and you have one vision, one goal for everybody,
Right.
and then people are working at the speed of trust. That in my mind is a fantastic organization culture. And and and, 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 and honestly, I'm very proud to work in PepsiCo, because that's a company where we have such a culture, particularly in the India organization.
Got it. Got it. Kaushik, I like to move to individual level. So going forward, जैसे आपने बताया कि now AI will make its intervention. Do you see कि people who are working today, they should focus on becoming more generalist, or specialist will still have a say in this coming world, say maybe 5-10 years down the line?
Look, one can argue on both sides. I think there is going to be specialization for sure. There is going to be, for example, if you look at it today, earlier we used to have, and I'm talking my own function, let's say finance, right?
Right.
We used to have, uh, typically accountants doing the reporting, getting the audit done, things like that. Today, the world has changed to performance management. What's the value add? How do you decision making support? And then it has changed to real time data and analysis. And now it is changing to predictive analytics and forecasting.
Right.
So it's getting deeper and deeper specialized from that point of view, right? Today we are almost like looking at data scientists to come in, understand the business,
And the finance vertical.
and finance vertical, right? So there is that element of specialization which is going to come in. And if I look at the finance function, I mean, CFOs of the future will be part, I would say, function people who focus on the function, but that is bread and butter. वो तो होना ही होना है.
Bare
वो तो
minimum
bare minimum है, होना ही होना, टेबल स्टेक्स है जो बोलते हैं, सॉल्ट एंड पेपर है. बट जो डिफरेंशिएटर होगा वो होगा, हाउ एम आई एबल टू एज अ CFO harness technology which is available. I don't need to be a tech guru. मेरे को सॉफ्टवेयर पता, and I don't need to be like my son, right? I mean, he is doing code. I don't need to write code, but I need to know what is available there,
Right.
and then what value I can put it to in my business.
Right.
So needs to be aware of technology and what it can do for the company.
Right.
And the third dimension obviously is, the business impact. I mean, today the finance roles are, earlier it used to be all about custodian, being the custodian, right? Being the record keeper, being the making sure the assets are kept well, etc., etc. Today it's about being the navigator, sitting in the cockpit of the plane along with the CEO,
Right.
and then navigating the aircraft to the direction that you want to,
Right.
anticipating the weather outside, positive or negative, and then adapting, right? And the other part of the role now is the catalyst role, which is transformation. Because nobody can stand static, no business, no company. You have to keep evolving.
Right.
And look at Apple, for example. I mean, a great example of a company who's anticipating what the consumer wants.
Right.
And then, I don't know whether you saw this movie called BlackBerry. Amazing. I mean, I read about it somewhere and I saw the movie. While these guys were totally on this, BlackBerry is like the, matlab, अगले 100 years to we are going to rule the world. And then Steve Jobs was unveiling the iPhone.
Right.
And then these guys were saying, oh God, what is this? So you have to reimagine and reinvent, which is the other dimension. So specialization is going to be there, but you also need to have people who are going to, where's innovation going to come from?
Right.
It's going to come from thinking. It's going to come from anticipating demand.
Right.
So you need people to do that. How do you motivate and get the best out of people? That job will always be there.
Right.
And it's not only HR. Every leader needs to do that job. In fact, one of the topmost jobs of senior managers and senior professionals and leaders is how to get the best out of people.
Right.
Right? It's your job is not to get the best out of yourself. You are already there, right? You need to get the best out of others so that you are able to. The team can aim higher and succeed. So, bit of both, I would say. Both will exist, but I think we should not feel like a victim when we think of AI.
Right.
I see there's a lot of fear. Yes, it'll have an impact on jobs. Yes, repetitive jobs and things like that, the lower value jobs, etc. I understand that. So how do you elevate yourself is the question. So the human part will dial up significantly. The people part will dial up significantly.
But what about mid-career professional? Like I speak with people who are in their late 30s या early 40s. So there is this inhibition कि अगर ये आता है efficiency, if it kicks in, so it becomes very difficult for us to justify the salaries that we are currently withdrawing. So then there is a fear कि am I becoming redundant, or the young generation which is coming up, they are becoming far more efficient. So how do I keep up with that pace?
Shashank, the question to answer is it's not about young generation. It's not about what is coming
Right.
or about young generation. It's about you. You need to be the you need to find a new avatar of yourself, which will be relevant today, and another new avatar of yourself which will be relevant tomorrow.
Right.
Which goes back to my question on learning. And there's this beautiful word in Japanese called soshing, and it's the first chapter in my
Yes,
book,
right.
which is how to keep your mind like a child. As we grow older and older, we keep having this baggage. हमको तो पता है सब कुछ यार. No, तो
Fixed mindset.
I know what to do यार. Don't tell me what to do. ठीक है ना? I have been there. I have done that. This is what I'm telling you, right? But वो ज़माना गया. So today, what's important again back to learning agility and adaptability and resilience. ये तीन चीज़ बहुत important है, along with diversity, which is another important aspect. So the answer to that question is don't feel like a victim कि कोई आके मेरा job ले लेगा. या अरे बाप रे ये क्या आ रहा है. Understand what is coming and retool yourself. You can do it. If somebody else can do it, why can't you do it?
Right.
So invest in a course, invest in learning. If you feel you need to be understand a little bit in whatever industry you are in, invest. Maybe your own personal investment. If the company is not doing it, do it yourself. Right. So that you future-proof yourself.
Right.
That I think is the mantra. Because ये चेंज तो होते रहेगा.
हाँ मतलब
पहले हमारा जमाने में जब कंप्यूटर आया था, I remember the dot prompt, in good old days. I mean, not your time, maybe before your time, but I went through that, right? I remember, and it was like, oh shit, what is this, right? So, but yeah, we adapted, right?
Right.
Now there's a new thing. For example, my son told me about 3 years back. He told me about ChatGPT. मैं बोला कि ये बकवास है. What is this, And I'm a creative person, so I have a YouTube channel. I write songs, and
Nice.
I do a lot of music and all that. I play instruments. So I started using ChatGPT to maybe give me some lyrics, etc. and all that. I said, wow, this is not bad. And then when I told my office, my colleagues, my senior executive committee members, there is this fantastic tool, ChatGPT. It's very good. They said, what bullshit is this? Then slowly, today you see
it is mainstream.
It's thing, and tomorrow where we are heading is not only you have your own intelligence, but you have a bot intelligence with you.
Right.
Maybe somewhere in the future, okay, it's going to be in something
Chip embedded in
chip embedded in you. Your job is not to fear that. Your job is to embrace and see how you can leverage that. मैं तो उसके बाद once I got sold on the thing, then I started leveraging it like crazy.
Right.
Like for example, sometimes you have to summarize some work, 20 pages into 2 pages. It does a good job, right? You want to write a poem for your wife or something, or let's say you want to you want to do some post. You want some other ideas.
Right.
Many things you can do. So how to leverage? That's what you have to think. I think today answers are not important. Questions are important. हमारा ज़माने में question था बहुत, answer मिलना मुश्किल था. You look to your parents,
right,
or somewhere else, or professor. Internet नहीं था, ठीक है. Today, it's not, the answer is always there.
That is
what
why
you have to know is what questions to ask.
I think that is why prompt engineer roles are now picking up. You should be good with the kind of prompts that you have.
That's right. I mean, look at ChatGPT, for example. The sharper you are in your question, the better the answer that you can get, right? So that's the thing. So long story short, my message is don't fear this.
Right.
It's like I can tell you this classic story. I have a fear of heights, so I suffer from vertigo. So Dubai, when we were in Dubai, and my son was small, he wanted to go on this very high, slide. So and then like the proud father, I have to do it because he wants to do it. So I go up. By the time I've gone up, I'm saying, oh shit, my now my head is reeling. And then when we land on the ledge, there is only one narrow strip of a slide, itna hoga. Okay, and then you got to sit on it and go down. You don't know what is down. Huh? Down is like real down. And this guy saw me. I'm very nervous. So he said, "Okay, Baba, you wait. Let me show you. Let me go first." So he went first, and then after that, and then on the slide, I was trying to hold on to something, you know. And then you realize there's nothing to hold on to. Just go.
Right.
So it's that feeling, you know. It's like zindagi no
Na
milegi
milegi
dobara. It's like that. You have to let go. नहीं तो मुश्किल है.
Because I think people seek predictability of government job and private job in today's era. That is not there. So any private organization works for profit. So you have to figure out कि आप कैसे उस profit में contribute कर रहे हो.
Yeah. But I would say it still depends on you.
Right.
You are the maker, breaker of your success, and nothing can stop you from from doing what you will ultimately do to yourself. So, you know, that's really about that attitude and that investment that you need to make, and make it in the early years.
Right. Right.
And then retool it, resharpen it. It's like a pencil, no? वो pencil तो जब मिलता है लिखता नहीं है.
Right.
लिखते लिखते फिर blunt हो जाता है, उसको फिर sharpen करना पड़ता है.
Right.
So careers and life and professional life is like that.
Right.
You will get blunt after a while. You have to sharpen.
You have to reinvent yourself.
Yeah.
So I'll move down on the next segment. So I think one question that keeps on coming to my inbox also is how and when we should decide that it's time to have a promotion conversation with my manager. So when is the ideal time to have it? Maybe you have seen significant offshoots of your work doing really well, or you feel that maybe I'm ready, or you are getting signs from your manager. So how did you figure it out? Because you have been with PepsiCo for quite some long, you have grown over the ranks.
See, look, I'll tell you from two lenses. My lens, my personal lens is a little different from the answer probably that you're seeking, and the advice for folks who are in their careers with this question. In the initial part, I think yes, the promotion was important, and yes, there was a euphoria about getting promotion, and then ultimately it's the theory of relativity. Na, hum to, if you are the only person on this world, then you don't know how to calibrate yourself.
Right.
एक साल में promotion अच्छा है या 10 साल में अच्छा है.
Right.
We are all driven by बाकी लोग का क्या हो रहा है.
Right.
But after some time I realized in a 30-40 year career, there are always going to be people behind you or always people ahead of you. If you keep looking back and comparing, you will be a very unhappy soul. Okay. So very quickly I started focusing on enjoying what I am doing and bringing my best self to work every day, which is the head and heart and the mind, right? The head and the mind always you have to bring, and particularly in companies like the work that I work in or the other companies that I've worked in. But it's the heart that keeps you going. So the day that tells you, no, I think there's something wrong, that's the time to change, right? But my advice on promotions is, look, you must strike the right balance between seeming too ambitious, too eager. Because I keep telling people, and everybody feels that way, मेरे लिए क्या है? ठीक है, company बहुत अच्छा कर रहा है, results are good. I'm also doing a good job. Everybody feels that you're doing a good job. Sometimes I've had meetings where the person feels she's doing a great job or he's doing a great job, and the rating should be 5, like the best. And I said, no, the rating should be 2. So there is a big difference between what the individual thinks and what the manager is thinking. वो भी होता है.
I think very true, because I remember from my Google days, I had joined and it was just 3 months I have to write my appraisal notes just because I had joined. So I rated myself 5 out of 5. Then my manager told me कि सब कोई अपनी नज़र में सुपरमैन होता है, थोड़ा zoom out करके देखो, then you will identify कि in just 3 months you have not done enough, you are just understanding the system.
So Shashank, this is a very important point. If you look at it from the company, sometimes we forget कि ये तो मैं किस लिए हूँ वहाँ पर, and why am I getting paid my salary? Because there is an organization.
Right.
I need to contribute to the organization. The company has to get something from me before I start demanding.
Right.
है ना? And it is Subhash Chandra Bose is saying, no, give me blood, I'll give you freedom. पहले let the company do well.
Right.
Often I've had discussions with people who promotion to छोड़ दो, maybe they want to do another job. Go out somewhere else, maybe get a foreign posting and things like that. And I have to keep telling them that, look, we need you here.
Right.
Because you're doing a great job, right? Because you are a future leader, right? And we have a fantastic business to run here.
Right.
So because the organization needs you, you need to be there. and maybe you will have to stay for a little longer than what you mentally think. So my advice to people, and and there's a whole chapter in my book called employeeship,
Right.
that, and I'll talk a little bit about that. But my advice is, look, think about the organization's point of view, because we always have this blinkered vision of your own point of view, right? If you are adding value, if I would say the time to move on to something else is when your learning is complete. There's no new learning. Your heart is saying abhi kya karna hai, right. That's the time when you move on to something. I'm not talking promotion specifically, but something different,
Right.
but till such time the organization is getting value from you and you're doing a great job and you're having learning, right? You need to hold on,
Right.
This you only realize when you are a leader, where you're managing a team.
Right.
As an individual, you don't realize that,
Right.
right? You're only comparing yourself, kaun jaldi move kar raha hai. The other aspect I would say is, leaders like people who focus on team rather than individual. And this is not easy to internalize, and it takes some time. It takes some time and it needs maturity, because as human beings we are always, I want to be okay, and maybe I don't want you to be okay.
Right.
That is the best situation. Dale Carnegie's I am okay, you are not okay. That is the best situation possible. उसके बाद आता है you are okay, I am also okay.
3 Idiots वाला डायलॉग कि दोस्त के सक्सेस फेल होने से नहीं, सक्सेस से ज्यादा बुरा लगता है.
Correct. And I am still okay with you are not okay, I am not okay. But the worst is I am not okay, you are okay.
Right.
So we are always like that, right? But we must find that I am okay, you are okay zone vis-a-vis the organization, right?
Right.
A lot of times people get frustrated and things like that because of the people they work with. And I've seen most of the people leaving organizations, a lot of people leaving organizations because of their bosses, because of their managers,
Right.
because of the culture, because of the environment, right?
Right.
There's a lot of stuff in the book on that. Culture makes a lot of difference. People stay on for culture, even if somebody is paying them a little bit more,
Right.
and therefore from an organization's point of view, how do you create that culture? Maybe there is a 30% premium on culture, 40% premium, and people will forego a
Right.
30%, 40% increase. And when I look at a CV and when we interview people, somebody who's kind of hopping jobs, changing jobs continuously, maybe moving into higher roles or getting more salary and all that, it's a red flag,
Right.
because we like people who are committed,
Right.
people who are going to be invested,
Right.
who are not just there for their own value maximization.
Right.
This is a maturity which you must have,
Right.
and people see through that maturity.
Right.
You can differentiate between two candidates based on that.
Right. I think, Kaushik, one thing that this is a challenge I also face, and a lot of people at Google, I'm sure at PepsiCo, because in these organizations people tend to stay for longer period of time. Like, I've been with Google for 10 years now. You might have seen people who have stayed longer.
Yeah.
So you get used to a particular way of working or a particular mindset.
Yeah.
So if you have to then maybe move outside, like I've seen people going from Google to different organizations, they find it very difficult to adapt because they have a particular way of thinking.
Yeah.
So how do you remain frugal even though if you are in this organization, but you still remain employable outside?
Look, I mean, you're so right, because PepsiCo, for example, I define the culture as a FISO culture. You fit in or you shape out. You love it or you hate it. There's no place in the middle. And you figure that out in the first 18 months. You're in or out. Once you're in, then you go the long distance. People like me, 20 years, 24 years, and people have done 30 years and so on and so forth. So you must love the culture and the environment. How do you stay relevant while staying in the same organization comes back to your individual initiative to have that learning mindset.
Right.
And that ability to... So typically what happens is, for example, in PepsiCo, there's something called developing leaders from within the organization. And it's partly about the job and the content of the job and the functional bit, right? Which is I think the lesser of the thing. The bigger thing is leadership skills. How do you how do you take yourself to the next level in terms of a growth mindset?
Right.
How do you take yourself to a next level in terms of taking others with you? which is the people part, right? The softer skills. A lot of brilliant people, they are fantastic on their own, but not able to take others along with them.
Right.
Maybe because their style is the my way or the highway style.
Delegation is difficult.
Delegation is difficult, and empowerment is not there. So people don't feel belonged, correct, or respected. Um, Softer skills. That's another area, and the third area is what I personally am very passionate about and very, very important for success in professional life is, this area of doing things the right way. Values, ethics, integrity. There are no shortcuts for success. And today, in a world where everybody is so connected, there is the premium on 100% integrity or nothing is much, much, much higher. Right. So my advice to professionals always is you will find a path which is maybe shorter, maybe easier, but there is the right way to do it, which is a longer path. That is better.
Right.
When it comes to a business impact and doing things the right way, always choose doing things the right way.
Right.
Over a period of time, your ethos builds with that.
Right.
It's not only about getting there, but how you got there.
Right.
Right. So staying relevant is up to you. I mean, it's sharpening your saws. You can do it yourself. In your development discussions with your manager, etc., you should be self-aware. What is your area of development? Maybe it's strategic thinking. Maybe it's communication. Maybe it is softer skills. Maybe you are too, harsh with people and things like that. Nobody is better aware of yourself and your development area and your development need than you.
Right. Right.
Correct? So don't expect others to come and tell you how to improve. Of course they will, right? But you should take initiative to do that. Because you today is not going to be what is required of you after 5 years.
So for personally, I have a monthly type of document where I keep on writing last month where I was and this month where I am. What are some of the key metrics for me?
Serious, monthly, wow.
So key metric for me is the number of intellectual interactions I had. So not the usual gupshup, but the interaction that added some value. Second is...
You have a diary or something? Wow.
So it's a Word document. I keep on documenting it there. So second is key, maybe the kind of time that I spent with my family. Was I able to take them out somewhere? And third is just on the personal front, the kind of books I was reading or content I was consuming. So content I rank out of 10. If I watch too much junk, it is 2 out of 10. This month this was completely shit going into my head. And this month when I'm traveling, then I'm reading books or podcasts. So those are the months that do really well. So that is how I keep on tracking. Ki maybe I can benchmark myself against me. Otherwise, बाहर तो बहुत difficult है.
So Shashank, ये जो आपने बोला ना, ये is so important. And I want to spend maybe a minute on this aspect, which is about balance.
Right.
ये बहुत important चीज़ है. And I have a full chapter on balance. Think of life like a graphic equalizer. पहले अभी भी शायद मिलता है, but पहले मिलता था हम लोग का वो जो वाईफाई सिस्टम्स होता था ना, उसमें वो ग्राफिक इक्वलाइजर होता था, एक ट्रेवल था, एक बेस था, एक वो सब था. And if you focus only unidimensionally on one thing, maybe you are only career, and job, that is all that you're thinking, right? You won't be a happy person yourself. People around you will not feel good about interacting with you.
Right.
That's one aspect. Second aspect is when you get into a leadership role. Every day your boss is not going to say, firstly, you are the boss, right? You cannot expect positive stimuli coming from somewhere. Every day your salary is not going to increase. In fact, most of the time you will get all the bad news.
Right.
Most of the time the worst kind of problems will come to you because you're the top guy, right?
Right.
So how do you motivate yourself? Finding that inner balance. हर एक के लिए अलग अलग चीज़ है. जैसे मेरे लिए, for example, I love writing. So I write fiction. This book that I've written has been a labor of love for the last 3-4 years, right?
Right.
I always loved words. My English marks were always higher, but I got stuck with numbers in finance. So pursue your passion.
Right.
That's very important. Maybe music is your passion. Maybe traveling is your passion. Like you said, reading is your passion.
Right.
Having intellectual conversations is your passion. So since my job is so left brain, I try to do right brain stuff. It balances me out. Instead of a pill, I just take my guitar and sit down and play a song. That is better than medicine.
Right.
Maybe the day has been stressful, but with your musical instrument, you are in that zone, then the stress comes down.
Right.
Or let's say you have a young kid, right? You spend time with the kid or you spend time with the family.
Right.
So this aspect of balance and the fact that you actually quality of life at the end of the day is not going to be measured by how successful you were at work.
Right.
It is going to be measured by things like, there was this Harvard study which was done multi-generational, and to find out what drives long-term happiness. So 2 generations of researchers and researchees. And guess what came out as the top 3? I can tell you it's not money.
Family time was no.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Relationships. Good, warm relationships. And think of it, how many of us think that is important and invest in relationships, right?
Right.
The second thing that came out is purpose. The reason to get out of bed, what the Japanese called ikigai.
Right.
Right? And the third thing is in Hinduism, what we call finding happiness in others' happiness. That's a very tough thing to do. Maybe it's the highest level. But the first two, so life is what is happening to you while you're chasing all this other stuff, right?
Right,
So
right.
I strongly believe that it helps balance you. And क्या होता है ना, people who interact with you also see you not as a needy, greedy person, as somebody who's
Always
there to
transactional.
give, who's genuine. You must make yourself available to give as a leader,
Right.
because that is your job.
Right.
And if you yourself are undernourished, how can you give?
Right. I think relationship part pe Kaushik, I'd like to double down because you are there, your spouse is there. At times you will be doing good in your career, at times they will be doing, at times both of you might feel stuck. So how do you keep both of yourselves motivated because you are in this journey together?
So in my case, my wife had she had a business, and she had to we had to take a call that one of us needs to slow down a little bit,
Right.
for us to really build a long-term, successful relationship and life. So again, it's about that balance. It's not about who's doing well or who's not doing well.
Don't compete with each other.
Don't compete with each other. Find time for each other. Find time. Today, what people miss probably in this hurly-burly of life is we are busy, but are we really happy?
Right.
What is that business giving me? Money. What am I going to do with that money?
Right.
Right? Maybe I'm going to do some material stuff, right? Stay in a fancy hotel and things like that. Who am I sharing it with?
Right.
So, finding time for your loved ones, finding time for your passions drives happiness much, much more. Money, after a certain point, law of diminishing returns economics में हमने पढ़ा है,
Right.
start supplying. In fact, उसके बाद it's the other way around. और चिंता बढ़ जाता है.
हाँ.
मार्केट का गिर गया, अभी पूरा मेरा तो बैठ गया. So instead of that, seek happiness, seek fulfillment in relationships, seek fulfillment in purpose. Find your passion. I would say that's what's important. and the one good thing, let's say, of our generation, long time back, is since there was no digital world, we lived in the physical world.
Right.
3 बजे 4 बजे चलो बैट बॉल लो जाके दोस्तों के साथ खेलो. Physical, there was a physicality of it. Today, look at how we are living, right? I mean, it's some people may not agree with me, but I don't think that's the right way, right?
Right.
Which is, you are sitting in a room, but everybody's on their phone.
Right. Very
There's
true.
no conversation happening. Maybe you're WhatsApping each other, although you're sitting physically together.
Right. Right.
What the hell is that, right? That makes no sense. So sometimes what we do now is no digital device, no TV, nothing, sit and talk.
Right.
And that you feel, wow, okay, yeah, this feels like 20-25 years back, this is what we used to do.
Right.
This is good.
What I tell my wife is कि in finance term ये combined P&L है, तो अगर हम दोनों में ऊपर नीचे कोई भी जाता है, P&L अपना बढ़ते रहना चाहिए. We have to optimize for P&L, not optimize for individual personal. But I'll move to the last stage of discussion, and you very lightly touched point on attention span. It is basically diminishing with each and every day. Doom scrolling is on the rise. लोग ज़्यादातर virtually connected होते हैं, they are not meeting in person. So in such a scenario, how do you go about building your network? Because one thing that I have figured out while interacting with the follower base is कि हमारा network ही अब खत्म हो चुका है. It's mainly our college friends, दोज टू हु आर इन द सेम सिटी उनसे थोड़ी बात हो जाती है, फॉलोड बाय आवर कोलीग्स जो एनीवेज मंडे टू फ्राइडे हमसे मिलते हैं, और एक दो सोसाइटी में ऊपर नीचे जो लोग रहते हैं, अब यही नेटवर्क रह गया. एंड वेरी राइट एग्जाम्पल वॉज लाइक आई वॉज इन लखनऊ, वी वर सेलिब्रेटिंग द 6 month birthday of my son. My dad got through his connect some 200 people to come for that event.
Can you
And when
imagine?
I celebrated in Gurgaon, I found it very difficult to get
20
even
people.
30. Even for 30 also, I had to tell my dad कि आपके जो दिल्ली में फ्रेंड्स हैं उनको भी आप बुला लो, क्योंकि मैंने मिनिमम गारंटी कर दिया, I have to pay the restaurant. So वो सिचुएशन से आप कैसे टैकल करो? How you go about building network in today's world?
No, I think that's a that is a very, very powerful topic. And Shashank, I am, this is something that I am particularly not good at. And I went to a boarding school, and then I've always been a little bit of a loner, and haven't proactively taken the initiative to build the network, reach out to people. But I've learned from my wife. I mean, absolutely amazing in terms of what's important is you need to be invested in building relationships.
Right.
Everybody expects the other to come and talk to you or connect with you or find out what's happening and make that phone call, send that message. पहले तो और मुश्किल था because physical distances were really physical distances. अभी तो कोई मुश्किल ही नहीं है.
Right.
You can stay in touch. What you need is the intent and time and invest in it. And everywhere we've gone, we've lived in so many places now. We lived in, all over India, and then Dubai, and then Ho Chi Minh, and then Hong Kong, and all these places. Everywhere she's gone, she's just built those relationships, and she takes a personal interest in building those relationships. So the reciprocation is fantastic.
Right.
As a result of which, that क्या बोलते हैं ना, 3 degrees of separation. Every new place we go to, we find that some connected person is there.
Right.
It's like magic. We are in the UK watching this India Australia World Cup game, and then suddenly she says, "Oh, you know what? This lady from Hong Kong who we were connected with is also here." So invest time in building network and relationships, and today it's so much easier. I've of late tried to, and I see this happening. एक cycle हो गया. Everybody starts with close relationships. Then you are on your own, doing your own thing, building your careers, family, then kids, etc. Then slowly you realize that now abhi time ho gaya, abhi time hai. Where are all those people I used to be connected with?
Right.
They are disconnected, by the way, because you have not been in touch with them.
They have also moved on.
They have also moved on. So people are coming that full cycle. I've seen people who have left work now. They are seeking out those relationships. They are forming those groups. They are getting people together. But you can do it even when you're working, even when life is happening to you. That is part of life, actually.
Right.
Isn't it? So it's a who are those group of people who will talk about you when you're not there, right? I mean, it's a very philosophical question.
Right.
But and you're so right. I mean, earlier generation used to be कुछ भी हो, मतलब 100 लोग तो आ जाएंगे.
100 तो
आ ही जाएंगे. हमारा तो we are all isolated, right?
Right.
Living on nuclear. So this is the other thing, like relationships. Build your network.
Right.
It's and if you want, you can do it. The means to do it is there today because we are all digitally connected. वो physical, अभी तो मैं जहीं जाता हूँ, I make it a point वहाँ पर कौन-कौन रहता है. पहले तो मैं बोलता, I would not even say that I'm coming, right? Now I go, make it a point to at least say I'll come and meet you. Let's meet somewhere. So
I think for me that reminder comes from Facebook. हमने in college 2008 we clicked a picture in front of Qutub Minar. So वो पूरा ग्रुप था 16-17 लोगों का. So every 26 January that picture comes as throwback. तो मैं एटलीस्ट साल में एक बार उन 17 लोगों को कॉल कर लेता हूँ कि हाँ भाई तुम लोग कहाँ पे हो. Because उस 17 से now hardly I am in touch with 3-4 folks जो regular basis पे. So that is there.
People don't even do that, Shashank. So so that's a great thing. That's a great thing that you do. No, it's fantastic.
Now, I'll come to the last question that I have, Kaushik. So, in an era of AI, what kind of skills one should look at building so that the career is sustainable in long run? I know you talked about softer skills, but if we have to double down on softer skill, which is one that key skill that you feel is of paramount importance these days?
Look, I mean, before softer skills, I think the harder skills are also important. I don't think we should not diminish that. But how AI is going to change your functional area? Let's say you're an HR professional, or let's say you're a finance professional. How your world is changing. For example, in finance, it's now all going to be, let's say, the accounting part, etc., the transaction processing part. That's all digitized, right? Bots are doing it. Reconciliation, right? And then it's something like what we call SSAEOs: simplification, standardization, automation, elimination, and outsourcing. So understanding where your hard skill domain is going
In the
and
value chain.
in the value chain and leveraging it, right? Uh, similarly, in decision making space, I talked about it earlier, is it's no longer you have to get all the data. There are algorithms which harness and has the power to harness what 100 people can do at one time, right? And they will do it in 30 minutes compared to you taking 5 days to do it, right? But your job is to know how to make that happen and sell that investment to the company, to your organization, so that you see the value and the return, and then leverage that to add value to the business. So you have an ally, treat it as an ally, understanding in your functional domain how you leverage AI, how you leverage the digital space to do your job better. See, this is a race because everybody is on the starting blocks of this.
Right.
Everybody is worrying कि भाई started है. So who will be the first of the blocks in terms of taking the bot along with them, will make them run faster.
Right.
That person will have an edge. So I would urge that start leveraging the digital. But on the softer side, I think it will really boil down to influencing. It will really boil down to what I said. How do you execute while taking everybody along? Right. That job is not going anywhere. That job the machines are not going to be able to do. That job the humans are going to do. Decision making. Yes, there will be some algorithms which will tell you decision making, right? But in the business world, it's 80-20, 70-30. How do you take decisions at 70-30? किसी का तो judgment लगेगा. Right. You will need that judgment. Right. So back to building interpersonal skills and back to building influencing skills, back to building trust. How do you motivate? Finding your own. Nothing is more important than who you are as an individual and how people perceive you.
Right.
No, what will replace that? And that is universal.
Knowledge will be democratized, but relationship will be not.
Will not be. Your brand ethos is not going to get affected. In fact, you can supplement your brand ethos with the harder skills, leveraging technology and AI, right? And we see it today. I mean, suppose there's a discussion going on, and you are on your ChatGPT and say, okay, you have some information. You give that information. People are impressed. Wow, how the hell did you get that, right? Maybe I have given some information on market research. I'm a finance guy. ये कहाँ से मिल गया? Right. मैंने नहीं किया. My friend here has given me that information, right? So yeah, that I think it's up to an individual, right?
Thank you so much for your time, Kaushik, and we end it on a wonderful note. Guys, the link for the book will be there in the captions. You can go and purchase it from there, and those who are member of Salary Club and follow me, you can also get it through link in my bio. Thank you so much for taking out time.
Thank you, Shashank. Wonderful talking to you. I almost feel like we've had many conversations before.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.